So we are worshiping as an intergenerational body today, so the sermon's going to be kind of interactive. Kids, I'd love to have your help, but it's not going to be enough to just have the kids help. So I need some of you who are feeling spry and young at heart today to help me out too. We're just going to start with a simple question, and I want you to turn to your neighbor and talk about this question right now. What tires you out? What makes you tired? Simple question. Young, old, share it with one another. Share it with your neighbor. What makes you tired? What tires you out? What makes you guys tired? All right, I've heard from a couple of you, but I want to hear from more. Let's shout it out. What makes you tired? Anybody, shout it out. My kids. Your kids make you tired. That's maybe the truth at any age, huh? What else makes you tired? The dog. Running up the hill with your dog, right? That makes you tired. What else? Shopping makes you tired. There are those things that just drain you, right? You walk into IKEA and it's like, oh, I just need to take a nap, right? What makes you tired? Playing golf with Gary Warner. Now, is that because of the physical exertion or the company? I'm not sure. What makes you tired? Playing hockey. Eat? Oh, heat. Okay. Eating sometimes makes me tired. I like to take a nap after I eat, but heat too. Yeah, back in the back there. Reading makes you tired. You must be really tired after school, huh? Right here, Molly. Allison. Your sister makes you tired, yeah? And one more hand in the back there, Logan. Yeah. What's that? Your brother, yep. Oh, in the back. Dancing makes you tired, yeah. There are so many things that make us tired and worn out, aren't there? Sometimes it's physical exertion. Sometimes it's emotional exertion from grief, from hard things, from stress. Okay, that's good. Now, my next question for you, turn back to your neighbor. What do you do when you're tired? How do you rest? How do you rest? Go. All right, I've heard from a couple of you, but let's hear some more. How do you rest? What do you do when you're tired? Oh, a nap. Yes, that's right. You know, I have a spiritual mentor who says, you know, one of the best things you can do when you have time alone with God is take a nap. Because God cares about us mentally, physically, right? What else do we do when we're tired? We drink coffee. Yeah, the other end of the spectrum, right? You can't do that forever. We all know that, right? Okay, yeah, right here, Allie. You snuggle. Oh, yeah. Yeah, being with people we love, that physical sense of comfort. It's so good, yeah. We watch a movie. Yeah, that's good. It's good to just kind of be taken somewhere else into another story for a little while, isn't it? Again, we can't do that forever, but what else? What else? You call a friend. Somebody to talk to. I asked some friends over here, do you rest alone or do you rest with people? And the answer was both. We need both. Sometimes we need a friend to talk to or just be with, watch a movie with. Sometimes we need that solitude as well. That's good. We spend an awful lot of time in our world doing things, don't we? Doing things, feeling things, carrying burdens, stress, anxiety. We're no stranger to these things. Sometimes we're doing things for ourselves. Sometimes we're pursuing the goals that we've set in life. Sometimes we're trying to achieve the things that are important to us, and that's good. Sometimes we're doing for other people. Sometimes we're really busy caring for others. And sometimes we can wear ourselves out trying to care for the people in our lives, caring for our kids or caring for our parents or both. Caring for our neighbors, caring for our friends. And that can be emotionally or physically doing for them. Sometimes we're doing for the Lord. Sometimes we're doing for church, and we can get exhausted because we're doing so many things. A couple weeks ago, we had a wailing wall up here, and Jason and Jessica Keck were responsible for that beautiful creation, by the way. And they carried a lot of cinder blocks in here for the Lord. They were tired afterwards. Sometimes we have so much doing, and it's not bad stuff, it's good stuff, right? But we can push ourselves to the limit, and we find ourselves with not just tired, but feeling weary. Do you know what I'm saying? Feeling weary. The tiredness that comes from so much doing, comes from so much stress and anxiety. So the tiredness that comes from grief and sadness. It's the tiredness that we weren't meant to carry, and yet we need to find ways to rest. Okay, our story today is about how Jesus invited some people to come and find that rest with him. But I need some friends to help me tell this story. So any kids who want to be involved, come on up. I also need some adults. So come on up and we'll see who we need here. Come on up, come join me. Now don't be shy, please. This is going to be fun. Come on up. I need at least one adult to play the role of Jesus. When did you get to play the role of Jesus, right? All right. Come on up. Anybody else? Can we have a couple young at heart people here? Come on. Thank you, Chris. Come on up. Oh, Dave too? All right. Anybody else? Oh, here we go. Larry's coming. Oh, Logan, good. Come on up. Okay, this is great. So, the story that we're telling today is about Jesus and his disciples. Come on up. Come find a seat. And a crowd of people, okay? Now, we have 3 adults up here. Which one of you wants to be Jesus? We all want to be Jesus, right? Okay, Larry was pointed at first, so Larry's going to be Jesus. Thank you, Larry. And let's see. We need about half of our group here. Let's see here. Let's have all of you over here are going to be Jesus' disciples, okay? And all of you over here are going to be the crowd, okay? Sound good? All right, so let's see. The crowd needs to start over here. Why don't you guys just start over here, and I'll call you in when the time comes. And let's see. Jesus' disciples, you can stand up. Jesus too. Come on over. And let's have you all start over here. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to tell the story here, and we're going to, I might have you repeat after me sometimes so that you can help me tell the story, but I need you to act it out too, okay? We need to make the story come alive so we can see what Jesus wants us to see today in this story. Okay, now, this story is from Mark chapter 6, verse 30 and following for any of you who would like to follow along. Mark chapter 6, verse 30. Now, Jesus was with his disciples, and he sent them out into many different cities. You guys can go out into the cities here. Yep. He sent them out into the cities, and he told them, go preach the good news. Go heal people and tell them the good news that the kingdom of God is coming. So they went out. They went out and they preached and they healed people, and then they came back to Jesus. The apostles gathered around Jesus, verse 30, and they reported to him all that they had done and taught. And then because so many people were coming and going with Jesus in them, they didn't even have a chance to eat. So Jesus said to them, come with me by yourselves. Go ahead and say it.
Come with me by yourselves.
To a quiet place and rest.
To the quiet place and rest.
We chose the right Jesus, didn't we? Yeah, you can all hear him.
Amen.
Come with me by yourselves to a quiet place and get some rest, Jesus said. So the disciples said, that sounds really great, Jesus. This has been exhausting work. So they got in a boat together, and they paddled their boat up the stairs and over there. They went away by themselves in a boat to a solitary place. But many who saw them leaving recognized them, and they ran on foot from all the towns, and they came to them, and they got there ahead of them. All right. When Jesus landed, he saw this large crowd that had gathered, and he had compassion on them because they were like sheep without a shepherd. Elsewhere, Jesus says, I am the good shepherd, right? He's the good shepherd who has compassion on all of his sheep. Now, hold on, pause. Let's hold pause one here moment. What do you think the disciples were feeling like in this moment when this crowd showed up in their solitary place? What were they feeling? That person just bawed. That's true. What else were they feeling? They were excited to get away with Jesus, right? And now all of a sudden, all these other people are there too. They went in a boat. They took a cruise to get to a solitary place. And then the crowds followed them there. I bet that those disciples were a little bummed out. This was supposed to be my special time with Jesus. This is supposed to be my rest time. This is supposed to be when we finally get a break and get to eat some food too. But Jesus had compassion on the crowd because they were like sheep without a shepherd. So he began teaching them many things. Now, verse 35 says this, by this time it was late in the day, so his disciples came to him. And the disciples said to Jesus, this is a remote place. It's already very late. The disciples told Jesus to send the people away so that they could go into the surrounding villages and find something to eat. But Jesus answered his disciples and he said, you give them something to eat. The disciples said to him, that would take more than half a year's wages. More than half a year's wages. That's a little longer, isn't it? They asked Jesus, hey, are we supposed to go and spend all of this money to feed these people that we don't even hardly know? Are we supposed to spend that much on bread and give it to them to eat? And Jesus just asked him a question. And he said, how many loaves do you have?
How many loaves do you have?
Go and see.
Go and see.
And when they found out, they said, 5 and 2 fish. Perfect. Then Jesus directed the disciples to tell the crowd to sit down in the green grass in groups. Go ahead and have them sit down in the green grass with the groups. And the crowd sat down in groups of hundreds and 50s. And Jesus took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And he looked up to heaven. He gave thanks and he broke the loaves. Then he gave the food to his disciples to distribute to other people. And the disciples went and handed it out to all the people. He also divided the 2 fish among them too. Good job. And get this, verse 42 says this. Listen, this is important. They all ate and were satisfied. I think the disciples even ate. They all ate and were satisfied. And the disciples went and picked up 12 baskets full of broken pieces of bread and fish. And the number of men who had eaten was 5,000, not even counting the women and the children. All right, kids, good job. Adults, good job. Let's give our actors a round of applause here. You guys can head back to your seats. Go find your parents. We have our ushers in the back. We need to welcome our preschoolers back in for communion. We're going to be ready for them in a couple minutes here. Two groups of people who had some pretty serious needs. The disciples on one hand who were just worn out. Absolutely worn out. They'd been doing so much for Jesus. They were tired. They wanted rest. They said, finally, this is our chance. They responded to Jesus' call. Jesus said, come with me, and we'll find rest. And so they went with him. But they weren't the only ones who had needs. There was the crowd of people too who needed Jesus so much that they ran along the shore from all the villages to find him, and they beat them to the place where they landed on the shore. What was driving those people to that place? I don't know. They were hungry for something though, weren't they? Maybe they were tired. Maybe they needed the rest that Jesus offered his disciples. But they were desperate for something. Maybe they were desperate for healing. Physical healing. Emotional healing. Maybe it was just because they were living in poverty under the thumb of Rome and all its agents. Maybe they were just so oppressed and exhausted that they needed some hope. And they hoped that Jesus might be able to offer that to them. Whatever the reason, they came. And they found Jesus there. And in that moment, Jesus could have chosen to turn the crowds away and say, no, you know what? It's really important that I care for my disciples right now. And that would have been good. But he had compassion on the people. He cared for them too. He loved them. And so he said, I have enough for all of you. I have enough for all of you. And perhaps the disciples were frustrated. We don't know for sure. But they sounded a little ticked off that Jesus asked them to go buy some bread. But they all come, and they all eat, and they're all satisfied. Physical rest is important. Vacations are important. But where do we find true rest? Where do we find true comfort, true peace? On a day like today, in a week like this, in a time of grief and tragedy, where do we find the food that we need? To satisfy our physical hunger, yes, but our spiritual hunger as well. Our longings, all of our desires for something that is greater than ourselves. Those longings that ultimately end in Jesus himself, in God himself. We're wired to desire him. We're made to be in relationship with him. Where do we find what we need? Only in Jesus. Only in Jesus. Jesus invites all of us to come to him, to find what we need, whatever season of life we may find ourselves in. On Tuesday night, when the news about Tyler spread around, we gathered here in the fellowship hall. We were expecting our youth group and maybe a couple other people. We had 70 or 80 students and parents who were here, who needed a place to grieve, who needed a place to pray. There's a lot of hurt in the room that night. It was really, really hard to see so many people hurting so much. But you know what? They came. They responded to the call to come to pray. They responded to the invitation to come. And at the end of the night, we said, we're not just going to end this time with prayer. Let's come to the table together. Let's take communion together so that we can come to Jesus and find all that we need. to fill that deep hunger that we have. Yeah, it's not going to make the sorrow go away. It's not going to make everything okay right away. But I can tell you that you will find what you need if you come to Jesus. And so we took communion together. And there were some kids who, don't know Christ, but who still came forward. I invited them to come forward and with their arms crossed and to receive a blessing. And you know what? They came forward. They knew that there was something there that they needed, perhaps. I don't know. They each have individual stories, but they came. Friends, when we have things that are too big for us to carry, when we have a weariness and a tiredness that is more than we can bear, will we come to Jesus? Come to Him in worship like we're doing today? Will we come to Him in moments of solitude and silence, of just sitting with God and letting Him minister to our spirit? Will we come to Him and search His Word for the words that we need? Will we come to Him? Because I can tell you that beyond a shadow of a doubt, no matter how many people come, no matter how many people line up, maybe with needs that are greater than yours in the grand scheme of things, not my place to judge, but Jesus has enough for all of us. There's more than enough. There's 12 baskets left over. Jesus has enough. So Jesus invites us to come to Him today. He holds out the light that we need in the midst of our darkness, whatever darkness that may be. And He invites us, come with me. Come with me and rest. Come with me. Find the true food that you need. Amen.